What's up, guys? Welcome to the Behind the Golf Brand podcast. This week I have my good friend Joshua Jacobs from the College Golf Experience. I've known Joshua for, I don't know, probably like a year and a half now. We met at PGA show finally, and what he's doing is so, I don't know, remarkable, to be quite honest, because no one's doing this. And it really blew my mind as to what's going on in the college golf world and how to get your child into college golf and like how many misnomers are out there and misunderstanding. So it's really cool to have him on the show, kind of talk about what they're doing at College Golf Experience and kind of how this whole thing works. But so welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul. What number PGA show will this be for you coming up in January?
It'll be 3. I
Three?
went to the first one. Yeah, I haven't done that many. I went to the one right before COVID, like that one right before COVID, and then I went last year. But
I think it'll be
how about you?
18. I think it'll be 18 for me this
Holy
year, dude.
crap, dude. That's a lot of PGA. It's like I just run around the whole time. It's all I do. And like the first year I went, I tried to like see everybody I knew, and it was like almost impossible. And then I felt like a jerk. So then I was just like, okay, well, the people I really want to see, I'll schedule time, or like the brands that have new stuff coming out. I'll
Yep.
like get there for sure first, and then go just meander, I guess, a better way of saying it, and trying to
I
find.
I think that they should move it back. I know it sounds crazy, but I think that they should move it back to October, November because in the past, all the brands used to release their lines at the PGA show, and now those lines have already been released for months. So I think if you move it back, and I actually, yeah, I don't know if Frisco, obviously PGA moved to Frisco, but I think if you made it centrally located, like in Dallas, that would be easier for everyone to get to, even the international people.
Orlando's far, dude. I'm sorry. It's like the opposite corner of the United States from where I live. So it's like,
Yeah,
forget that.
me too. I'm in LA, so I wish that they would move it to like October, November. Let's bring back the power of the show that all the big brands are introducing next year's lines at the show, and then it'll make it so it won't force people, but I think you'll get a lot greater attendance than what's been going on because at this point it's kind of just a hit and giggle. But in the past, when they were introducing the new lines for the new year, like people were forced to go. You're forced to go and see those lines and place your orders there. So I don't know, my 2 cents.
And it's interesting too, because like you're right. I mean, especially all the driver manufacturers, like they've already announced, like they're gonna announce their stuff in the next like couple weeks. Most of them
Correct.
will, and like unless you're Titleist, you'll do it in the middle of summer or whatever. And it's also it's like it's kind of like, oh, the new drivers are out, we get to see them, but by that point, everyone's all the YouTubers have already tested them out. There's already articles written on them. It's like, okay, big deal. I think what's cool is with the tech side of it, because like
That's
Rapsodo launched there too, this in February. And like I think it's cool because tech keeps their mouth shut, and like
right.
until they're ready to launch. And you don't see that with the club people or the balls. I don't know. I think you're right. Honestly, I
Yeah,
think you're right.
I just think it get a bigger reception a little bit earlier. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Tech is different than hard and soft goods. That's for sure.
So where are you located? You're in LA.
I'm in LA, man.
Did you grow up there or what?
I did. I grew up in LA, and then I played junior golf in Southern California. I went to Emory University in Atlanta for college. Left college, was producing live television at Fox Sports, and then got hired away for a technology company. Realized I didn't want to be in production anymore. Went to the business side and helped start up a tech company, and then got hired away by a client in New York. Was in Hoboken, New Jersey. Watched 9/11 and was there for that. Yep, I saw the second plane go in, and about 5 months later wanted to come home to LA and just had that innate sense of family, and came home. And I was also a basketball player growing up in addition to a golfer, so found that 2 weeks before the high school season was going to start, I ended up being an assistant coach at a girls high school program in Agoura, and the head coach resigned in the middle of the year, so I ended up coaching both teams for 2 years, and it was fascinating. And at that time, I started TGA, which was my first junior golf company, and very introductory level after school programs. It schools, elementary schools, pre-K, churches, temples, community centers, etc. Then you focused on, that introductory, that first step into golf. And then you get them to the golf course. You get them in the camps and the recreational camps, and we kind of made a business model out of it. And by the time we were done with it, we had, about 3,400 programs across the country, and ended up hitting over 1 million kids, and ended up selling that in 2021 in September. But College Golf Experience was kind of born in, I would say, March of 2021. So here we are now, man.
That's crazy, dude.
Well,
thanks for being on the show. I got all my answers I needed. Thanks.
Oh no, I've got some pretty awesome stories, man. I mean, I was working with Keith Olbermann and Chris Myers at, when Fox was trying to compete with SportsCenter back in the day, and it was a great life, though. I mean, just to be really honest, like you would work from 3 to 11, 3 to 12 o'clock at night, and I'd wake up and I'd practice golf. I had an amateur career as well, and I'd wake up 7, 8, whatever, and I'd go practice golf and play and have lunch and go to work and watch sports and produce sports, and it was awesome. It was
so how'd you get it? So like, did you graduate from Emory or no? You didn't graduate?
Yeah, I graduated.
Okay. I was like, you left. All right, so you graduated from Emory. What was your degree in Emory?
Economics and business with a minor in history.
So then how'd you get into production?
It's a really funny story. So I've always loved sports, always been around sports. My dad growing up was a pediatrician in LA. So I always, merged kids in sports. He was also a basketball coach. I was fortunate. And
are you a Lakers fan?
No, we've actually had Clippers season seats for over 40 years. And in the new stadium, so just to give an idea how long my family's been there, it's a hilarious story. We had the 7th overall pick in the new stadium for seats.
Holy crap, dude.
So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think crypto or Staples, whatever people are calling it these days, a little tired. It's not their own. And it's also, the new stadium's 15 minutes from me right next to SoFi. So it's great.
Oh, you live by SoFi over there by the airport, kind of?
Yeah, I live in Playa Vista.
Oh, okay, cool.
So for me, it's, my dad was, he had a lot of he had a lot of people he took care of. He had a private practice in the San Fernando Valley, and one of them was Ron Pitts, who was the former player and then Fox announcer, and he helped get me an internship my summer. I think it was summer of between junior and senior year, and then they offered me a job straight out of college for $26,000 or $28,000 a year, because if you're going to get into the sports world, there's no money in production to start. And I was like, all right, I'll live a good life, be able to play some golf, live at home for a year, whatever, save some money. And
get my master's degree?
No higher education for me. I feel like I've gotten throughout, starting in 2003, and then franchising it in 2006, and then another franchise in 2012. I feel like I got my MBA and entrepreneurial degree, so I feel like I'm all right at this point.
You only learn by doing, dude. It's all theory. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, I think that there's certainly an education. I think that there's some basis and infrastructure that you can learn, but until you put it into, like you said, until you do it and you put it into
until you lose money and you learn from that and you figure out a better way of doing it, or you have a problem, it's like, oh, that's how it works. Well, theoretically, yeah, that's how it works, but that is not how it works. You got to live through that. And
yeah, I mean, no matter what people think of Musk, right? I mean, I saw a great video of him the other day about what it's like, what it feels like to start a company, and it resonated, a lot with me. I mean, I can tell you stories during 2004, 2005. I mean, as we were expanding, struggling to make payroll, the whole gamut of a startup, right?
Yeah, the stress of it,
started in one room in an apartment in LA where 3 of us were working out of. It's not, I mean, this is 2003, and we weren't even a tech company. So obviously, it's, once you live through that, you get a great sense of who you are and what you're made of. And, you learn a lot along the way, the ups and downs. And the way I like to describe is anyone who's looking to start a business, there's going to be peaks and valleys when you start. And the further along you go, the lower those peaks and the higher those valleys get. So it kind of evens out for you. So, but it takes a ton of work to get there, a ton.
And time. right? A lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's you
Working
got to get
time.
lucky. I think with college golf experience CGX, I mean, I think the timing is right for what we have, and I think that we found a void in the industry, and it kind of was presented to me by some industry folk to start. And but yeah, it's going to take some time for sure, as anything does.
So so you got a job in production. It was that
Yeah,
back in LA, and
yeah.
then everything worked out. Like you were close to home, you're making $26,000 a year or whatever. And then like how long were you there doing that for?
There for almost 3 years, and then got started this tech company. My cousin asked me to help her start.
What did the tech do? What did the tech company do?
It was God, I haven't spoken about this in so long. It was a screen company. So it was a polymer technology that could mold into any shape and had properties that made it the brightest screen in the world at the time. The lumens that were coming off of it.
Like
So
a TV screen?
yeah,
Or like
so that was the
uh,
OEM. I don't think the company. I was only with the company for about 9 months when I got hired by one of our customers. But yeah, it could OEM to a TV screen. But imagine like crazy trade show booths with curved
oh, like
screens.
a really, yeah, back then too, when there's like BLPs and like, oh,
Yeah,
all like flat screen was like not that common. Like it was like a Sony Trinitron, or
absolutely. And
something.
the company was called Luminaz, and I mean there were some good people there. I learned a lot about just starting out in a business. So that was that. That I bet you that gave me a little infrastructure for what I was doing with TGA in 2003. But but yeah, no, it was an interesting technology. I mean, I remember being on the set of Embassy Sports, and they're like, "Hey, can we curve it like this to fit our set? And can we make it into a basketball and project on?" Like it was pretty. In the end, when I look back at it, if you don't get to the OEMs, you're probably not going to have a massive business. And they ended up not having a massive business. So it's, yeah, I mean, a great product, just not necessarily the wrong time, just not sure they
Well,
saturated.
even I mean, yeah, back then, I mean, there was no social media, so like no one's ever gonna see it. It's like, you go from one place to the next, you're just trying to sell it, really, to like
Yeah, and you got to go door to door. I mean, yeah,
a lot of sales.
it was quite an endeavor. And when I got the opportunity to head to New York, I
Like, peace out.
I took it. No, everyone's got this, right? Everyone knows when it feels
So,
right and when something might be wrong. Hopefully, people are listening to themselves about that stuff. And I just knew
yeah.
that I wasn't in the right place, and wanted to take a chance and learn a little bit more about myself in New York. And was fortunate enough I had family there and friends from Emory, so it wasn't that big of a jump. Like I was going to the middle of nowhere, but it was
What was that? What was that company then? The one in New York. What were you doing there?
it was called Creative Realities. So it was audio, video, and it's almost like an audio, video, and lighting company, show control. So we were working on a lot of the nightclubs in New York City. So we built out all the audio, video, show control, etc. Some shows. It was, they also did right before I got there. They had Foot Locker. I don't know if you remember going into a Foot Locker and they had all those lights up and those screens. Like that company did that. So it
Good
was,
contract.
yeah, I mean, I learned a lot from the CEO, Jason Friedman, great guy. Learned a lot about small business, what to do, I think in some cases, what not to do. But overall, it was a really positive situation. And yeah, it was a good time.
So then, where'd you go after that? So you were there for how long?
So after that, I was there for about a year and a half because, 9/11, and then came home and
There's like
came
no
home.
jobs after that too. Like everything. Like I remember that. It was
Yeah, I
like
had my job. I mean, things were okay, but it just similar to I just didn't think I was in the right place. So came home back to LA and started coaching basketball at the same time. Started this junior golf, started TGA, the junior golf company, and
only in. Was that only in LA or was that in California or what's the story with that?
no, we were nationwide. We were nationwide, and we had international locations as well. So I mean, we ended
But
up
it
with
started in LA though.
it did. It started at 6 schools in LA in the fall of 2003.
And
Yeah.
then that was like an after school program, right? Kind
Yep.
of like
After school program.
structured.
In fact, that first fall we did We did 6 after-school programs. We did a couple parent-child events. We did a Halloween fun tournament. I mean, keep in mind, these kids are, these kids were 5 to 8 years old primarily, maybe 5 to 9. So we're really serving that really young component that, 70% of those kids had never played golf before. So it was neat. It was neat.
And then you franchised that out. Is that what you did? Or do you own
Franchised that out in 2006. Then we launched tennis in 2011. And we did that with a partnership with the USTA. So it was more than just golf, but golf's always been my passion. I mean, I grew up playing tournament golf, played college golf at Emory, and that's really where my heart.
Are you scratch? You have to be scratch, dude.
Yeah, I don't play anymore. That's the problem. I mean, I think I played. I'm going to probably play 7 times this year. In 2022, I played 5 times. For me, it's much more about quality than quantity, where it doesn't matter whether I'm playing with, somebody else's clubs. If I'm on a great course, I'd rather do that than, I don't know. I travel a decent amount with college golf experience, so I always, get to play the courses sometimes where the camps are at or in the area, so it's good.
So then, what gave you the initial idea for college golf?
So I was talking with Greg Grost, who's the executive director, CEO of the Golf Coaches Association of America. Greg and I had sat on a number of boards together. I was on the World Golf Foundation board with him, not on the PGA of America boards, but we're on one other board. And we were just talking, and he's like, "Hey, how's business?" And I'm like, "It's good." I couldn't tell anyone that we were selling it at the time. It's like, "So how many camps are you at now?" I said, "Oh, we do about 2,200 camps during the summer." He goes, "Wow, it's a lot. You want more camps?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, I think that my coaches could really use a platform to help themselves do more camps." And I was like, interesting. And so I started looking into it because I found that intriguing, and also gave me, you think about TGA, right? Very introductory and recreational level of that pyramid. I was always a competitive golfer, so have never.
You're the top of this funnel, right?
Never worked in competitive junior golf. I just hadn't. I had done a few things. Steve Hamblin, AJGA executive director, known Steve's been a mentor and a friend of mine for a couple decades now, and I brought an AJGA event to my club in LA, and so I learned a little bit about the ins and the outs of that. But overall, this opportunity that Greg posed was really of interest because I kind of found 3 things, right? So the first thing is there is a total lack of education with parents and players about, hey, what is college golf? What are the rigors of college golf? What's it like to play college golf? And then what's the recruiting process? What is the process like to playing college golf and finding your fit? So that was the first thing that I found. The second thing that I found was every other sport had a platform like this. Every other sport has showcase camps, ID camps, position camps.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I remember when in 2003 with TGA, I actually ran just a off the cuff event, like a traveling camp. And I remember being at it's a course that's no longer there. It's called Rancho San Marcos outside of Santa Barbara. And we're there, and Michael Jordan's there. And he's playing with his 8-10 people, and they're betting and they're doing all kinds of stuff, and we're like, "Oh, what's he here for?" He goes, "Oh, well, he runs his annual camp at UC Santa Barbara. It's like a showcase camp." And I was like, okay, that was cool. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but when I started doing my research for CGX, every other sport has that kind of stuff. And then the last one is the majority of college coaches are underpaid. They really are. I mean, they do so much for the sport. They do so much for their players. And if you look at how many hours they put in versus their pay, I mean, they're outstanding people, and they really care about what they do. And so the ability to create these camps and, derive a little bit of additional revenue for them, because think about it. I mean, these players and these parents, when the camps happen, I mean, they're getting information straight from the horse's mouth. They're getting it straight from the coaches. And that's really something that hasn't existed in junior golf forever. I mean,
what's the misnomer, I guess, for parents right now? Like, let me tell you what I think. Okay, you tell me if it's. I don't know. I'm kids that age. Like, I have no damn clue. Like, if my kid wanted to play let's say this is my kid's in high school and he's good at golf. I would have no idea what to do. Like I'd be like, oh, well, you play in your tournaments and hopefully some school will see you and talk to you about playing college golf. And that's about as far as I go. It's like, like, I mean, my kids play baseball. It's like, I know there's like tournament teams and there's big tournaments and all those scouts are there. I already know all that. Right. But for golf, it's like, how do you do it? It's such an individualized sport. And it's like, I honestly have no idea.
It's very similar to what you were talking about, right? And that's kind of what we're shifting. That we're going to shift that paradigm in junior golf. That's where this transparency of information will come in, right? So instead of a college coach hiding behind a tree watching you play, or walking on an opposite fairway, and they're trying to hide from the parents that are there so they don't get bum rushed by them.
Yeah,
It's tournaments are vital to that progression from junior golf to college golf. They provide a ranking, they provide an aptitude. It is completely merit based. It is your score, it is your rank, it is where you are in that tournament versus the field and versus the other tournaments that are going on. So that it is absolutely necessary. But that does nothing for these players to help them find their fit in where they should play college golf. And for the majority of these players, 99.9% of them, they're not turning pro in college. So these 4 years in college golf is so special to play. So these 4 years are supposed to be the best 4 years of your life, right? So how do you find that right decision? How do you find that right fit, that right coach, that right program? And without information either on that coach or on that program, there's really not a lot of ways to get that, especially prior to the June 15th deadline. So I'm not sure if you know this, but until June 15th, between their sophomore and junior year, college coaches are allowed zero contact with PSAs, prospective student athletes. They can watch them play tournament golf. They can't engage with them. They can look at scores, but they cannot respond to them. If they get an email, they can't do anything except in a camp environment. So if you're at a camp environment, you have the ability to engage with coaches. Parents have the ability to get this information that they did not have.
Is that an NCAA rule? What is that?
Yeah, it's an NCAA rule. So, but I think the key here is that the parents need to be the hero to the player. The parents need to be the hero. They need to be the ones to help guide their player down that path of finding a place in college golf that's the right one. And so far, there's really not been a service or an initiative that's given them that chance. So that's where I think that we come in, and we do it through a number of different events. The first event is an elite camp, which is hosted by a single institution, so a single program. So imagine if we got one coming up in a month with Cal. So you're gonna play with the coaches. You're gonna have a seminar about college golf and the recruiting process. They're gonna treat you to a simulated college golf practice and a college golf practice round. So you're engaging with these coaches, whether you're a parent or player, throughout the entire day. But it's just about Cal. And Cal doesn't they're not doing a campus tour, but a lot of the elite camps do campus tours. So you're literally walking around on that campus doing a tour with the coach. And then you're going to see their facilities, their practice facilities, and it's basically life as a college golfer at that school.
And you don't have to, and it's a camp, so like you could be a ninth grader, right?
You could be any age. We start them. I mean, I would say those elite camps, the majority of kids are 13 to 17, but we've seen them as young as 11 or 12, whose parents want to start getting these kids, in front of college coaches or learning about what college golf is like. It really runs the gamut. The next camp that we do is really cool. So it's called a tournament preview camp. So literally the day before a junior golf tournament, we are doing a day of camp where the college coaches, you do a college golf seminar. So they're learning all about college golf, but then they're going out and they're doing a simulated college golf practice where they're basically preparing for the tournament. So you're learning how to hit different shots off the grass, around the greens, etc. And this is right before they're going to play in that tournament. And then you go out there, you have lunch, and then you do course management and strategy seminar, which is also something unique, because most of these juniors, these competitive juniors, they all have swing coaches, right? They all have swing coaches. They don't all have, but some have mental coaches and fitness coaches. But very rarely do you see players that are really strong in course management and strategy. It's just not something that they're spending a lot of time on. And even the college coaches will say that is one of the weakest parts of a junior golfer's game. You can hit the ball a freaking mile, but you're not really sure how to play a golf course. So then they go out and they play a practice round with the college coaches. So they're literally walking them through that tournament and walking them through that round.
That
And
they were
it's
really in college and like they're really playing in a tournament and how they need to think and like
Yep.
look at the field and
And
wow.
they're learning things that they're going to take with them to every tournament they have in the future. And we've seen some amazing success from those camps with kids having their best tournament finishes ever. We did a camp back there. I think it was in March of this year. We did a camp where we had 27 kids. Of the 27, 21 were playing in the tournament. It was an AJGA qualifier and then an AJGA tournament. And of the 21, of the 12 that were qualifying, 5 of the 12 qualified. And then on top of that, we had like 6 top 10s in the actual tournament. So that type of preparation, these kids that, they're not really sure how to prepare for a tournament. And now they're getting it straight
They
from
only
the
know what
coach.
they know, right? I mean, they only know what they've through experience. They don't know, like, there's no mentor, right? Like, they have a really good coach, but it's like they have that one experience or that one coach they see all the time. It's
Yep.
not.
Yep. And then we've got exposure camps that are more about, hey, let me expose you to college golf and what's that like? What's the recruiting process? We're going to play a couple rounds and you're going to get comfortable playing in front of college coaches because it's scary, right, Paul? I mean, imagine being a junior golfer and you're teeing it up in a tournament and all of a sudden a college coach walks up to you like next to the tee or you see them walking and they're
You
watching.
know what college they're from because they have a shirt on. So you're like, oh, that's a college. Oh, whoa,
Absolutely.
USC. Oh my God. Okay, I gotta be really good.
So
Yeah, like
it's a little daunting, but these camps also make players more comfortable around college coaches. And it helps you speak to college coaches. It helps you, if you're around them, it just sets you at ease and it humanizes them. And so whether you're playing in a tournament in the future or you're talking to a college coach about a recruiting visit or you get a call from a college coach after the June 15th deadline, it gives you all kinds of experience before that. And then you've got our showcase camps. These are kind of the bigger ones. So we've got Ivy League showcase camps. We've got D3 showcase camps. We call them top 100 camps right now, where you've kind of got the best of the best coaches and programs in the country. And we've got 4 of those coming up, 2 in November and 2 in December. So it really runs the gamut no matter what you're interested in, whether you're interested in a specific school and you want to, go to that school and see those facilities, or you want to get a chance to know what college golf is like, or if you want to work on your game and prepare for a tournament and learn, different facets of course management and strategy and also get reps in front of college coaches, or you just want to learn about what college golf and the recruiting process is like. If it really runs the gamut, and there's really been a lack of information transparency about all of these things. And college golf, and I hate to, speak for a long time, but college golf's on the rise. I mean, you think about who's involved in college golf, right? You got Augusta National, you get a Masters invite for the NCAA champion. You got PGA Tour U. Gordon Sargent just got that promotion to the PGA Tour. You got more and more televised events for the men's and women's events. Like
oh yeah, I remember that the NCAA tournament was televised. Like I remember
yeah, I mean,
watching that.
there's one on Golf Channel almost every week now.
Yep.
So college golf is certainly, it's awesome to play, but it's also really, I think it's becoming more and more prevalent in the industry itself.
I was telling Joshua this before. Like I had a buddy of mine whose daughter's like really good, like top 10 in the state, let's say, in women's. And like she was I guess like probably 4 or 5 months ago. And you guys had already just been here. So he's like, oh, it was like right after we had it must have been like in the spring. And I was like, oh, you should, and I think right after I met you, and I was like, oh, you should check out college golf experience. I'm like, because he was asking me, he's like, I don't know what to do. I have no idea what to do for her.
Yeah.
Like he has a daughter who plays volleyball and she got scholarships and everything like that because it's a team sport. And it's like they can see him at these tournaments. But he's like, I have no idea what to do to help her because it's
because they don't have information. The only way
there's no information out there.
Yeah, the only ways that these parents are being guided, right? If you don't have the information as a parent, you can't help guide your player. You can't help guide your child. And you're at a real disadvantage, right? I can't tell you how many people call us up and say, "Hey, I'm a junior, I'm a senior. Am I too late to the game?" And I actually host an Instagram live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern with two coaches. And so I can't tell you how many questions we get about the recruiting process and am I too late and when do I start and where do I start? Unless you look at a recruiting service, which can be extremely expensive.
I have
um,
that. I didn't even
they,
know that.
they have recruiting services out there. Yeah, there's some more general services, and there's also recruiters who work with you more one-on-one. I mean, those recruiters are phenomenal. I mean, most of the recruiters across the country are outstanding, but they're also really expensive. And so
What does it
um,
cost? What's a ballpark? I have no
so
thousands of dollars
I
or
don't
tens of
know
thousands of
for sure,
dollars.
'cause I think they're all different based on the
Yeah.
time and where you fall in your
Wow.
what age you're at. I mean, I think that they can go for anywhere between 5,000 to 15, 20,000 a year.
Jesus. Just to
So
get your kid, just to get your kid to play college golf. I mean,
hey,
that's like
look,
a
I don't.
semester or like a year of college.
At first, but at first when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's crazy, right? But then you think about it, if the recruiter really is, and like I said, there's some great ones out there.
Well, they
But
succeed, right? You got a full ride at a good school. It's like
exactly, if you get
it
a
costs a
full
quarter
ride,
of what it would have cost you to go to college, and you would have had to pay for it anyway. So
a
it's like
hundred,
way
a
better.
hundred percent, and
Yeah, that's how I would look at
they
it
help
too.
you find your fit. But at the same point in time, I think that we're very complimentary to the recruiters because no matter what happens, they still need to get in front of the college coaches. They still need reps in front of the college coaches. They still need to engage with
Yeah, you
college
give them the
coaches.
opportunity to do that, right? Instead of
Yep.
being like, oh, here's my highlight reel, or whatever. Here's my tournament winnings. It's
Yep.
like, okay, that's great, but are you cool? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a two-way street, right? Like, I mean, we've both been interviewed before. Here's a story. So when I used to be a pilot, right? And I was going to fly in the Air Force Reserves, and I wanted to fly fighter jets. So I flew to New Orleans to get interviewed to fly the A-10, and they only had 2 slots. There was 30 of us interviewing that. But what I learned from this, right? It was crazy. I was like competing. It's like 2003, right? So right after 9/11. What I learned, it wasn't like if you made the interview, you obviously can fly an airplane, right? Like obviously you've already gone to you've already made the cut. It's like who are we going to pick out of these 30 people? And all came down to is how cool are you and can you fit in with us? That's all it came down to, because if I'm going to be stuck in a tent in Afghanistan, I don't want to have to kill you. I want you to be cool. And I think like that's the same way. It's like, is it a two-way street? Is it the right fit? Not
Yeah,
are you qualified? We know you're qualified.
you nailed it on the head. And the way that the coaches say it is, who do I want in my van for the 5 to 6 hour drives?
Yeah.
Who do I
That's
who do I
exactly
want
that's all it comes down to.
who do I want to travel with? And unless you spend time with the coaches,
You don't know.
they will never know. And the more that the coaches know, the more educated they are on their guests
What they want.
and on who they want. And that's, when you look at what we're doing, and we'll get to me being an AV geek here in a second, but when you get to what we're doing, right? These players and these parents don't yet fully understand what the value of these camps are for them and what they do. Like you talk about, not only learning about college golf and the recruiting process to help guide the process for yourself, or whether you work with a recruiter, et cetera, is phenomenal. But just the feeling comfortable in front of college coaches, learning how to play golf courses, there's just so many benefits to it. And by the way, I know exactly what the A-10 is. I'm an AV geek myself. Love planes, have always loved them. I still to this day, sometimes if I want to get a little break, we'll go to the In-N-Out by LAX and watch them come overhead. And yep, that's me.
Yeah, I'm a dork. I love airplanes.
Yeah,
I
me too.
mean, it's fun to watch. It was
Yep.
fun. It was awesome. I mean, it was cool. And then when I had the interview, I was like, holy crap, this is the real deal. And I was like interviewing against like F-18 pilots, and I'm like, bro, I fly like Cessnas. Like, there's no freaking way. But like, I made the interview, so it doesn't matter. Like, we
Yep.
both can fly an airplane. It's like, are you cool? That's all it came down to. It was, are you cool? I mean,
Yep.
more than that too, but that was a majority of it. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, and I think you're nailing it, right? It's what's the fit. And
Yep.
that for me, I described some of my career earlier on. I mean, I knew when something wasn't the fit and I knew when it was. And that's exactly what I was on Instagram Live. And even it was 2 days ago. And we had a coach and a player on it. And the coach found the player at a camp. And she flat out said, which was really cool, I knew as soon as I left that camp, I knew I wanted to play for that school. I wanted to play for that coach. That was my fit, and I'm going to go after it. So, yeah, I mean,
And
there's.
I think at that age too, as like a young adult, right? When you're 16, 17, 18, like you don't know what you want to do with your life. Like, I mean, even if it's golf or not golf, you don't know where you want to go to college. Like, I didn't know where I wanted to go to college. Like,
Yep.
I was like, oh, I'll probably just go to ASU or U of A, like all my friends. But
Yep.
it's like until you get like an opportunity or see, like that's what happened to me. Like back to aviation, like I went to school, my undergrad's at Purdue, and they had like the top aviation program. So like I ended up meeting professors from Purdue, and they were like, "Oh, come check out Purdue," and I was like, "Where's that at?" And they're like, "Oh, it's in Indiana." I'm all, "Screw that," and they're like, "Okay, cool." And then like I went to the campus and I saw the program. I was like, "Holy shit!" I'm
Yep.
like, "This is what I want." Like you don't even know what you want until you see it, and once you see it, it's like that's all you want. And
Yep.
then like that's
I was
exactly. I
looking.
mean, I
I was looking at
100%
other
agree, dude.
schools. I looked at University of Washington in Seattle. I looked at UCSD, and I had gone to those two schools first. And then when I went to Emory, as soon as I spent an hour on that campus, I'm like, "This is where I want to be. This is where I want to go." And that's a really powerful thing for junior golfers. When it comes to playing college golf, to be able to feel. And you can't do that from just playing in 20 to 30 tournaments a year. You can't, because there's so much more to your ranking, and coaches will say this. There's so much more to the ranking, and the tournaments, they are not the end all be all in recruiting, just as we're talking about, Paul. And so that's what we're trying to impress upon everyone. And it just breaks down so many barriers to entry, and makes the information a lot more transparent rather than behind a curtain. And it gives everyone the information and the knowledge that they need to make the right decision. And that is vital in this day and age, because we all know in this day and age, what does everyone value most? It's time.
Time.
It's time. And so if you make the wrong decision, you're going to lose time. You're going to.
Especially in this, right? Because like you make the wrong decision. I mean, you're stuck. I mean, you could quit, but like you're stuck. Like
They're
if
never
you,
going to quit. Well, no, you're not exactly stuck though. I mean, there's the transfer portal, and
I mean,
the
all
ability
that,
to
but
move
like
schools.
let's say you made the wrong decision, you don't know it's the wrong decision. You show up, and then 3 weeks later, like I hate this place and I don't want to be here. It's like I don't know. I just think it's.
It's a very large decision in a person's life of that age. And the more information that you have, whether it
Yeah.
be about the coach, about the program, about the feel, about all of that stuff, the more information that you have, the better equipped you are to make that decision. Rather than getting, I mean, if you're highly ranked on June 15th and beyond, you're going to get calls from coaches. They're going to find you. But the fact is how do you know which one you're going to play for? And guess what? You think one recruiting visit or another trip is going to be the end all be all to you making that decision? No, it's not.
Yeah.
So I think
And
that
it's a
there's.
very individualized sport too. Like I was talking to somebody, 'cause I didn't play college golf, obviously, but like they're saying that like you only can play so many people out on the course or in a tournament, right? Everyone doesn't get to play. Is that right?
No, there's 5 spots, for the most part. I mean, there's five spots, 4 count, and there's usually, depending on the division and what they've got, you've got a head coach and assistant coach, and it's an individualized sport. But there are, the great part about college golf is the team aspect. It's really special. It's not that many times in professional golf do you see that, right? President's Cup, Ryder Cup, Solheim Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a lot, and I think that a lot of people are calling for more team, but it's easier said than done. Let's put it that way.
So then how did this work? So then like how many showcases are you having or how many events a year right now? And
So
where are they at usually?
2022, we ran, I think, 28, 29 camps. This year, we'll run close to 60. And then next year we'll put on, we're thinking about 125 to 135. But
And then
that
they're
also,
all across the U.S., right?
they'll be all across the US, and now we're getting calls internationally as well. So we're looking at England, Hong Kong, New Zealand, maybe, or Australia, Canada, and then Mexico. That's where we're looking for 2024.
So then, how do you pick the courses to go to? Like, how does this work? Like, I mean, on your side, not how parents do, but like, you have to figure out the course to book out like the entire weekend, or how does that work? I have no idea.
Yeah, so if for the elite camps, the camps, the
Yeah,
single institution camps, normally the coaches they'll host it at one of the courses that they play on, right? That the team plays on. So that's pretty easy to figure out with them.
yeah,
Then the
that's good.
tournament preview camps, you know exactly what course you need to be at because that's the course that the tournament's going to.
Whatever tournament's gonna be at 2 months from
Exactly.
now,
So
or
those two,
whatever it
and
is.
then you've got your exposure camps and your showcase camps that we put on, and those run the gamut. You know, normally that's some give and take with the courses that we're going to be working with. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say that overall courses have been really welcoming of us because we're not like a tournament where number one we don't have to shut the course down. It's not like that. You know, our average event has 32 to 36 players. That's 8 to 9 tee times that we need to find, and then we add the F&B component in for them. So we, whether it's at a private facility or a public daily fee, whatever it is, everyone can still exist at that course and do their normal routine, except for those.
Yeah, you're not gonna hold them up. You're not
No,
gonna be like, "Oh, we got the entire tee sheet. Sorry, you
no.
can't tee off till 3 o'clock." They'd be like,
And we
"Nah,
have,
dude."
and all these are competitive golfers. So, and they're
Yeah, they're not
playing.
crappy. It's not some like
Yeah.
whatever training school for a weekend or something. You guys all suck. It's like
And they're playing with the coaches, so the coaches help move them along, and they know the drill. So
they're
it's
professional. Yeah, they're young professionals at it. Like they know what they're doing. It's not.
pretty much. I mean, if you think about it, coaches do so much for the players academically, support wise. They give them the platform, they give them the tools to succeed at a really high level, and they take care of so much stuff for the players. And at the tournament, during the round, they're basically caddies. I mean, they're walking around with their team and they're working with them mentally, working on shot selection, working. So they are the ideal partner to run these camps with. And the GCAA, our endorsement from the Golf Coaches Association of America, has been
Huge.
vital to our
Yeah.
success. And we've been
It's
fortunate enough.
validation, right? It's like you're helping them, and they are really grateful and want to do it with you, right? It's not
Yeah,
like, oh, you're making money off us, or like, it's nothing like that. It's like, finally, we have a way of like getting out there to more people without having to like figure it out by ourselves for one thing, right? In our state or our local course or
yeah.
something.
And I think a lot of college coaches wish that the players had more education and more knowledge, and the parents, on college golf and the recruiting process coming in. So I think that it's kind of a nice match. But we've been fortunate enough, we're looking at, in really impacting more players by not only the number of camps that we're running, but also the level and the value of those camps. So we've been fortunate enough to bring on some great partners in Adidas Golf and Clipped. I'm not sure if you heard about Clipped. It's a new game improvement technology, and it's sweeping through college golf, and they just got the NCAA rights to host ranking and scoring, which is actually a huge deal going on right now in college golf. So we had our partnership with them before that happened. So I just feel pretty confident in our partnership there, and to be able to derive value for players and parents. It's pretty cool.
It's just funny because like when you're talking, I just Googled like college golf, right? Just to see what comes up. And like, because I'm thinking, okay, I'm a dad and I have a kid and I want to like, or whatever, I want to get him in golf. So it's like, I'm looking and it's like, okay, it's the NCAA stuff, all the big, articles from like Golf Week and whatever. And then it's like, you still don't know anything about college golf because this is about what's going on until and you guys are in the top 10, right? And you're the last one. It's like, golf camps with college golf coaches, and it's like, oh, thank God, right? 'Cause everything else is just like
Do
it's
you
all just
see it's
ads.
funny, I haven't Googled that in a while, but do you see the college golf guide there, collegegolf.com?
I don't collegegolf.com. Let me look real quick.
Yeah, I'm just curious if you saw
collegegolf.com.
that.
Yeah. What is that? They're number 1, 2, they're 4.
We're about to announce a pretty big partnership with them. It's going to help. It's going to provide additional transparency and education
Oh, that's
around
cool.
college golf in each program, and
Dude.
it's pretty cool. Back in the day when I played in junior golf, I mean, the only way you knew about college golf is they had the Ping Golf Guide, and literally every junior had to buy it, and it told you about who the coach was, what the scores are, what the
Oh,
ranking was.
it was like a magazine. Like I know exactly what you're talking about. It's
It was
like
literally a magazine. That's all we had, and
I
so
remember those. Yeah, I did that when I was
it's
interviewing.
actually a fantastic idea by Rich
Like
Brazu.
who's the person to talk to? Who's their information?
Yep.
You pay like
There's the
$50
telephone
for
number
this.
to call.
Yeah, here's the phone
There's
number. There was no email back
There's
then.
no
Here's
email.
the address to send a letter.
Yep. Yep. And that's what you had to do.
It was gold.
You had to send letters with a tournament resume that you had zero idea of what the template of that tournament resume should be. So you don't know.
There was no internet back then, so you don't even know what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, 100%. So basically, if a coach didn't have to stumble upon you at a tournament where they're probably not going to, the odds are, and or you wrote them X amount of letters, there's no way for them to know about you until now, right? So it's just totally different. No social media, no email, no nothing. And so that's all about this information transparency that needs to come out. But no, Rich Brazu, he's got this awesome idea, and I think it's just gonna really complement what we're doing. And so we're gonna partner with them. We'll be announcing that here probably in the next, I'd say,
That's
2
cool.
to 4 weeks. But yeah, College Golf Guide, really good stuff.
It's so genius what you're doing. Like seriously, like I mean, there was such a need, and like you don't realize is it. I mean, you already had the experience with what you had before, but like unless you were a parent, right? Like, and all of a sudden you had that problem. Like, how would you have ever known that even exists? You've been like, oh, whatever, like. It's obscure, but it's not unless you're in that position of a parent or a junior golfer trying to get into college. Because you might think back, like when I did it back in the '90s, it was different. Well, yeah, no kidding. There was no internet back then, so it's like
what fascinated me about this is that when I did the initial research that I described earlier, like every other sport has it. I mean, literally, it exists in every other sport. And so the ability to provide that opportunity for players and parents and coaches, and it's very rare in the world that we live in now that you can kind of get, you talk about win-win, right? Talk about a win-win. Like on our case, you've got a win-win-win, and the triangle is, players, parents, and coaches.
Cool. Yeah.
I'd also like to say courses are involved in that, and then partners and sponsors, because the value proposition of what we're doing is immense no matter who you are. I mean, we'd like to think it's got a lot of legs. We like to think we're helping people. I mean, we've already had probably over 50. It's right around 50 now. Players who have found their fit or who are playing college golf because of these camps, and we're just getting started. So I think I think we got some legs.
No, I think it's so smart. I mean, so where can people find you? Like if they're watching right now, like, oh crap, I want to do this. Like, what do they do?
Website is just college golf and the letter X.com. So college golf, company's college golf experience, college golf and the letter X. And then if anyone wants to email me, I'm always getting them with specific questions about players and their situation. And hey, what camp is right for me? It's just Joshua@collegegolfx.com. So doors always open, man.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, when I first heard about what he was doing, I was like, oh, it's smart. But then knowing more, like I didn't know all the problems. I was thought, oh, it's a good idea. But then when you start seeing like how it's grown so much already in the 2 years, and I mean, you're just starting if you think about it, because
yeah, we got a long way to go though. We got a long way to go, and there's so much more that we can do for players, parents, and coaches. And
yeah,
I see that opportunity, but I always try to remind myself that the old cliche, right? Rome wasn't built in a day, and I feel like we've got some years ahead of us to really make this and really nail it.
well, it's really cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. You guys have to check out College Golf Experience if you have kids or young adults that are wanting to get into college golf and have no idea what to do, because it gives you all the tools you need to help them. So thank you again for being on the show, and I'll see everyone on the next episode.